In this video, we're going to take you through 3 mistakes we see often that stop you improving. So mistake number 1. David, what we're looking at to start with?
We're actually going to look at movement, and the main thing here is we see a lot of players, they hit and then stop, and they're not recovering well enough to a certain area. Just from a physical point of view, we want to always be moving around the court. As soon as we stop, we've got to restart again, which is wasting energy and efficiency.
And David, an area that we often see is when people hit lifts or clears, that they almost rush to the middle of the court, which almost then makes them split step twice. Why is it that we don't necessarily need to be in a hurry?
Well, we've got to think of the flight times of these shots. They're big and high. The time we want to get back to the middle is basically when our opponent's about to hit the shuttle. Because what that means is we can recover nice and controlled, and then as soon as we hit that middle, we can split and drive off to that next place dependent on what shot our opponents hit. So we can keep this nice flow of our movement, which is going to make us nice and efficient around the court.
So David, people are probably thinking, okay, well, where should I be moving to? And it's not as simple as just constantly getting back to the middle of the court.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, moving to the middle of the court is okay, and for some circumstances, yes, it's going to be 100% where we want to move to. These circumstances being if you've hit a really high lift, high clear, and our opponent's in a good position, and they've probably got a pretty even chance of hitting all 4 corners of the court. Where this changes is when our opponent's restricted. Yeah. Let me give you an example. If I've hit a really nice forehand straight smash down the line, and it's a good smash, the likelihood of my opponent whipping it to cross into my backhand corner or even turning on a cross defense is a lot less likely than them hitting this straight block. So I'm almost wasting time moving all the way back to the middle, when actually if I could follow through a bit straighter, maybe into this position here, I'm then prioritizing the most likely shot, and it's going to make me more efficient moving to that next shot.
This way of thinking is a great thing to add into your game, as your opponent cannot often hit all 4 corners.
And our tip number 2 is all about hitting the shuttle constantly too hard. Dean, what do we mean by this?
Well, it tends to link in basically when people kind of feel that they're moving fast with their movement around the court, and allow that to almost travel up into their upper body, so that their upper body and their shot matches what their legs are doing. Now what we find obviously with this is they're only playing kind of almost to the rear court, and also not really making their opponents move enough. Now this can be apparent in both singles and doubles, where the doubles players are maybe getting pushed off, and rather than playing a soft shot into the front, into a big amount of space, we still find a lot of people hitting towards where the defenders are moving to.
And we can almost think about this in 2 different ways. One, we can figure out the movement. We're not making our opponent cover the whole court. There's the whole court there, but we're only almost making them cover half of it by just pushing them back and back. And the second one, Dean, is it's very easy to, if you know that shuttle's always going to come hard at you. As an opponent, if my opponent is smashing at me constantly, that's actually quite easy to just keep getting back. So as soon as that pace is mixed up, that's when it gets really difficult. Very
much so, and we see a lot of players that we work with that do actually have very good smashes, but sometimes they don't necessarily seem that way because they hit them too often. Especially as you just mentioned, the defenders get very used to the same pace of smash, and then without that variety, they just get used to it and they can adapt. If we start throwing in more options, drop shots, slices, making our opponent move, that smash then becomes even more effective.
And one of the scenarios we actually see this happen a lot is when we get tense going into a match, whether it's at the start or at the end. People just want to hit that shuttle hard, Dean, and get rid of it in a way.
Yeah, very much so. Sometimes if people are nervous and anxious before a match, they're kind of, again, quite tight. And when we're quite tight, it's hard to feel like we had that touch control when playing into spaces. So sometimes if you want to do that for a couple of points, it actually helps you settle down. That's fine. And then the other one is sometimes towards the end of a match where we're trying to almost hit that winning point, that winning shot. And again, that adrenaline almost carries through too much into our kind of shot decisions, and sometimes we can make bad choices. And the final area we are going to talk about is about lift height.
Yeah, and this is sometimes a counterintuitive one for some people, and it's not using enough height. A lot of times what we see is people hitting these lovely, perfect height lifts for someone to attack, or just too flat and someone can intercept, when actually we want to use the height of the hole. And I think some people get worried about doing that because, well, you're giving someone potentially that chance to attack, and that's what they're thinking. But actually there's so many benefits to hitting high.
And for this, sometimes we have to bring it back to yourself. Now, what we often see, David, is people think about the lift, making it awkward for their opponent. Yeah. But sometimes what they don't consider is actually it's okay to give yourself more time to get ready in that defense. So actually, even though you're giving the attacker maybe a little bit more time to hit that smash, you're much more ready for it, which allows you to pick up more.
And we also have to think about how our opponent has trained. And by that, I mean, when we're practicing maybe our attacking shots, we practice off these lovely, what I call mid-height lifts. And that's one, to do with our contact, but two, with our movement as well. As soon as we add more height to it, people's movement becomes stuttery, they can mistime their movement, mistime their jumps, and the angle of the shuttle is now dropping directly on them instead of coming at this lovely angle. And that's actually really hard to time. So you're making it so much more awkward for them, as well as giving yourself more time. So we hope you found these 3 tips useful and are going to help you moving forward to improve your game.
And if you have any questions, please write them down in the comments below and we will get back to you as soon as we can.